Okay, greetings and welcome to this evening's The Second Sign episode. We're going to have a look at Julian Assange. Now, other than watching the occasional video, like the odd video by They Live Truth, a great content producer who I see has put out, done a couple of live streams lately, so shout out to him. Definitely suggest watching his videos. Yeah, I've taken a glancing look at Julian Assange. I can't really say I know much about the guy. Hopefully some of you out there might be a bit more knowledgeable on him than I am. However, just because I don't know about Julian Assange doesn't mean I don't feel in a position to point out the possible outcomes that we're going to see. I'm going to make a couple of predictions which in my experience haven't always panned out. I do, at the very least, I do acknowledge when I mess up my predictions. You know, if I get something wrong, if I say this celebrity funeral is going to have a horse-drawn cart and it doesn't, I will put my hands up and say, yeah, I got that one completely wrong. I do at least have that humility. So, however, one of the outcomes has already been established. I didn't even need to make a call on this. Yeah, also going to do, what would happen if I put in WikiLeaks? Is that actually a website online called WikiLeaks? It's what Julian Assange is known for. I can't say it's a website I've ever gone to, but it's one that gets a huge amount of press, a huge amount of publicity, and although I'm not sure how active it is, possibly it's one of those things that's on the dark web. If anyone is knowledgeable on that, then yeah, please do let me know. Mudlark, great to see you in the live chat. Thanks for being with us tonight. By the way, it's thanks to people like you, Mudlark, that allow me to call this the second sign and not the first sign. Of course, we're talking about the first sign of madness, talking to yourself. And when I'm doing a live stream and no one says, no one comments in the live chat, that's what I'm doing. Talking to myself, which of course is well established as the first sign of madness. So here we are, the second sign. What is it? Let's see if we can find out. Hello 21, also tuning in on Rumble. We do have a Rumble chat, but that is even... I'm not complaining about anything. Of course, as a YouTuber, I someone who puts a video out, I can't expect anything from an audience. Like, the bare minimum is that they watch one of my videos, which in itself is an achievement. I consider it if you get your content out to a few people. Right, I've got to set up the live chat over here. Just 1 second. Of course, typically underprepared live stream. Yeah, so if anyone is knowledgeable and they think there's any information about Julian Assange worthy of being known to anyone else that comes across this video, please leave it either in the live chat or in the comments if you're watching this stream after we've gone live. Right, come on, why isn't this working? It should be, is all I'll say. Yeah, and does anyone go on WikiLeaks? Apparently, one of the big things WikiLeaks was known for was the time they... Didn't they release Pizzagate? And there's a lot of discussion on how legitimate that leak was. Right, why isn't this working? We'll get it up in a minute, I promise you. I'll get the live chat on there. Yeah, of course, Julian Assange was correct me if I'm wrong, a well-known whistleblower. Wasn't there another whistleblower that went by the name of... Oh, not Epstein. To be honest, I can't remember the name of the other whistleblower that got arrested. If anyone can... There we are. We've got the live chat up. If anyone knows who I'm talking about, because I certainly don't. Yeah, typically underprepared for live stream, of course. While we're here, actually, I'm just going to take the time to wave. Thank anyone who is tuned in. Mudlark's never looked at WikiLeaks. Can't say I have either. However, we're going to tonight. Let's see what sort of trash is on there. I would guess that website would be celebrating quite, a lot now. They would be saying, we've got our wonderful leader back. Great to see Rosie Chica in the live chat. Thanks for being with us this evening. Yeah, Rosie, have you ever stumbled upon WikiLeaks? Oh, Roger Ledwell. Now I've corrected my live chat and made it a bit more readable. I can see we've also got Roger with us. Thank you thanks also for tuning in and saving me from talking to myself basically all night. Right, who am I thinking of? Can anyone name the whistleblower that was, I think he had to stay in an embassy in some obscure embassy so as not to be arrested for, I think he was a military person possibly. Susan, great to see you in the chat also. Thanks for tuning in this evening. The name's on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of his name though, but I think he was British, and he was held in captivity for years, not being allowed. Yeah, but anyway, Julian Assange followed this guy up. How long's he been in prison for? Again, this is all stuff I could have researched beforehand, but the reason I'm doing this stream a bit later tonight is that I was busy today. Snowden, thank you, Roger. You got it. You hit the nail on the head. A first name would be useful because I can't even remember that. Edward Snowden, I'm going to say. Let's have a look at some of these characters and see what they go by. Rosie says, you've been there out of curiosity but didn't feel like looking for anything, so I didn't make it past the homepage. Now, again, maybe I have gone on there. I'm guessing it's going to be a website very much like Wikipedia. You would think it's a wiki. It's a place where people can just put up any piece of leaked information they want. Does that mean that it's prone to being abused? Okay, right, what do you want to know? First we'll tell you about Julian. Julian was born Julian Paul Hawkins. Anyone who likes the numerology calculator? For some it might not mean much, but I do think at the very least it's of interest to put in a few names just to see what comes up. I know in 61 and 70, I know Julian is a 22 name. Right, what's Julian Hawkins? 56. So that is certainly one. Oh, okay. Maybe I'm misspelling it. That is what I'm doing. Yeah, Julian's a 22. Paul Julian Hawkins. A 62 and a 52. 52 in Chaldean, 62 in Pythagorean. Again, if you're someone that believes numbers have a relevance into these sort of news stories, then you'll know what it means. If you don't, then I certainly suggest having a look into it. Chaldean and Pythagorean numerology. It doesn't, there's a calculator that I use. It's available to download for free, and it's good for just if you want to know the numeric value of names in Pythagorean and Chaldean. Right, he is an Australian editor, publisher and activist who founded WikiLeaks in 2006. Do you think that what this pose reminds me of is Nelson Mandela? Let's have a look. Is he another Nelson Mandela figure? Hopefully no one will start saying, I'm sure Snowden died back in, not Snowden, I'm sure Julian Assange died back in 2021 or whatever. On that note, actually, Mudlight did make a comment earlier on saying, I did see it, but it hasn't made it onto the live chat. There we go. Typical, I've been released from prison. There's our two activists, freedom fighters, side by side. Well, not side by side. Okay, one thing I predict... Hang on, I do need to find... Yeah, I saw a tweet by his wife, by Julian's wife, Janet. Again, possibly another thing to put in the numerology calculator. Cider Guy, great to have you with us this evening. Thanks for tuning in. Wolfie Smith, then... Yeah, absolutely, you're spot on. Wolfie Smith, for anyone who's not familiar with BBC comedy back in the 1970s. His slogan was "Power to the People." It was a comedy about Wolfie and his little socialist friend, and they went round trying to... Right, unfortunately, I cannot remember the actual name of the show, but we'll just have a look for Wolfie Smith. Is that a Che Guevara hat? There he is. Unfortunately, they've cropped out some of the fist bump in this one, but he was always doing it. Yeah, you're spot on with that one, Cider Guy. They've nailed it. No doubt. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Wolfie Smith meant to be a communist? Not that I know. Oh, goodness me, I hadn't had the display on. My apologies. There's Wolfie from... What was the name of the programme? Tooting Popular Front. That was... Yeah, he tried to be a political power. Very apt at the moment, by the way, politics. We've got a general election coming up in about a week's time, I think. And... Oh, my goodness. If you want to see propaganda, switch on your television set here in the United Kingdom. Every single political party is putting out the biggest load of, what should we call it? Trying to convince people that they're not all self-centered, corrupt, power-hungry, unpleasant people, that they actually want the best for you. No, they don't. None of these people... Anyone who ends up at 10 Downing Street isn't there because they care about the public. They're there because they care about... They're a signature to... Yeah, they just need that. Yeah, I'm very disillusioned, I guess you could say. Perhaps me and Wolfie Smith would make a good pair. Were he a real person, he could come on my live stream and play some of his commie music. However, yeah, Julian, let's not get too sidetracked. Goodness me, I can't stay on one subject for more than 5 minutes. My apologies. Yeah, Mudlight did say earlier on in the comments that if Julian was really someone they didn't want to be heard, they wouldn't promote his website. What they would do is off him in his prison cell, probably. Unfortunately. And unfortunately, yeah, you know, I can't argue with that point being made. Okay, let's get on with it. We'll see if WikiLeaks is a real worthwhile watching website in just a minute. Oh, by the way, if anyone wants to make a prediction on the outcome, I say this live stream's called Julian Assange, the usual outcome. And that's because in any news story where we get huge publicity, such as this one, there's a very common, familiar series of outcomes that always end up happening. One prediction I'll make off the top of my head, they're going to write a book. Julian Assange, or a ghostwriter, will release a book about his time, about his ethos. The Daily Mail says he got a hero's welcome from the Prime Minister after hamming it up on something or other. Yeah, he's been called a hero. Secret family of love children. Okay. and the US State Department say that his actions put people at risk. What did he do? Am I right in thinking he released... Yeah, okay, my opinion is anything you see on on WikiLeaks is nothing more than just an extension of the garbage that we're force-fed on the 10 o'clock news, for example. It's designed, if anything, to make you... Right, WikiLeaks will do it. What comes up when you search WikiLeaks? eBay, interestingly enough. Full movies online. WikiLeaks appears to be the name of a book. And then finally, about 5 searches down the page, you find the website itself. And they even give you a search bar to search from. Yeah, straight up Globe propaganda, straight off the bat, the very first image. One line down, more Globe propaganda. Al-Yusuf, I wonder what that is in numerology, by the way. Yeah, in case you're not familiar, what we're looking for with numerology is dual words that have a numeric value of, say, a dual number, 11, 22, 33, 44, with a couple of exceptions, such as 32, 62. Anything with 2s and 3s seems to come up a lot as well. That is just for anyone who's not familiar with the numerology calculator. Al-Yusuf happens to be a 32 in Pythagorean and a 34 in Chaldean. Yusuf on its own. I'm not that massively into numerology to the point where I use any of these extended calculators. Like full English reduction is one I've seen. It seems to be that there's so many of these calculators that sooner or later one of them will give you the number you're looking for. That's why I stick to these 2 established ones, and, well, I say established, they at least make the 2 near the edge website. Yeah, what a surprise. They encouraged Tor, the onion browser. Is it the onion router it stands for? People seem to think they've got a private network. I doubt it. Developed by the funded by the United States military and government. I don't know. Use it if it makes you feel better, but I don't think you're any safer or more private using Tor than you are using any other website. That's why I just use the one that comes built in with Bing. Yeah. Right. Amazon Atlas. WikiLeaks publishes a highly confidential internet document from the cloud computing provider Amazon. Are they telling us just how unsafe all our online activity is? Today, 11th October 2018. Wow, this website doesn't get updated very much by the look of it. They published a highly confidential internal document from the cloud computer and Amazon. I wonder if this made it onto the mainstream news. I bet it probably did. Let me make it a bit more readable for you if I can. Nope, that ain't gonna work. I guess that's their effort to make us believe that this website's somehow encrypted. When we go to reader mode, they change it into a load of garbled nonsense. Wow, oh, okay, that was just the top line. Oh, I don't know. Okay, so yes, Wikipedia is alive. I wouldn't say alive and kicking because it doesn't look like many new websites are, many new articles are put on there. I'm sure they've got some sort of forum. Julian Assange faces a 175-year prison sentence. What a joke. For publishing documents, including those which expose willful or otherwise reckless sabotage of climate action during prior climate something or other. They certainly like the word climate. Wonder why. Numerology calculator, let's have a look. I'm terrible for misspelling really simple words. Climate. Yeah, it's a 27 or a 21. That may have some value. That WikiLeaks. Okay, 2019. Some of these articles are going back to, so they were only seem to be active whilst the mainstream press were, you know, making a big deal about them. Yeah, another outcome that has come about because of Julian Assange's release would be that of a fundraiser. Of course, big news stories. Yeah, Cider Guy says Assange was ignored by the press, and now they're claiming he's their hero. Mudlark says your bin's full of voting flyers. Yeah, I get them constantly. Who did I vote for last time? The last time I voted, I actually voted for the Green Party, thinking that it in some way made a blind bit of difference to life, going into that polling booth and putting a tick in a box. My opinion is, I mean, you're all welcome to disagree with me. You can believe that we live in a democracy where we have an unelected head of state if you want. Double speak, that you could, well, double think, I would consider that. Yeah, this is a democracy. We choose our leader. Who voted King Charles in, not me. And by all accounts, he is when it comes to laws, passing laws, I believe the king gets the final signature on whether a law is passed or not, once it's gone through the House of Commons, House of Lords, and then I believe it's signed off by the king. So again, they just need signatures, just like any potential prime minister. Yeah, Rosie says a lot of us think voting for the least bad. Now, Rosie, if I'm not mistaken, you're part of the United States. If I'm, I believe you've told us before. Now, over there, as far as I'm concerned, well, here in the United Kingdom, we have 3 parties, although only 2 of them ever get into power solely. We've got Labour and Conservative, which is the US equivalent of Republicans and Democrats. And we then got the Liberal Democrats, which originally were half and half. You know, I think they were halfway, you know, somewhere in the middle. Whereas, as far as I know, in the States, only 2 parties will ever be voted in, if I'm not mistaken saying that. By the way, Alita1, lovely to see you in the chat. Thank you for being with us. You're mentioning the weather. That would make a cooler evening. Yeah, we've had some really sweltering days the last couple of days. Summer. Weather's doing exactly as it should. Please don't ever worry that man-made climate change is the thing you should care about. It isn't. Yeah, nice cool evening tonight. You're absolutely right. We've had it absolutely baking. Yeah, thanks for being with us, Alita. So, yeah, let me find this fundraiser that I saw. I think I saw it on Twitter, or X as it's now called. And I believe I liked it, or bookmarked it, but then... where are we? Yeah, apparently his wife's coming out. How much do you think they want? How much are they trying to raise for the... Because Julian Assange has come out. I can't find it now. I reckon it's... I reckon the article might be over on Twitter. Sorry, as a bookmark. And yeah, by the way, it's great to see a few names in the live chat this evening. Thanks ever so much for being with us. I better pop over and check Rumble, just in case. You never know. We do have a Rumble live chat going. Yada Yahuwah, thanks ever so much for taking the time to comment. It's great to have you with us. Right, let me see if I can find the article. I don't even know how to find my bookmarks, to be honest. There we go. Here we are, right. If I like it, it then should come up on my Twitter feed. Yeah, you'll notice we haven't looked at any articles today about Julian Assange, so we haven't actually touched on what the terms and conditions were around his release. This is the only thing I looked at and that I have to go on. This is the only thing I basically looked at. Stella Assange, by the way, maybe another name we might want to put in here. Stella is a 15 and a 19. Assange is a 36 and a 14. Now 36 could reference 3 6s, 666, the number of the beast, of course. By the way, here's an example of numerology making sense for me. I made a video where I pointed out that any time there was a news article with a young person meeting an unfortunate demise, they would often show white rabbits next to it. And if you ever saw an article, let me just bring up a quick example. Oh, I can't even think of what. Okay, the only obvious one is Archie Battersby. And I mean, I say this is the only one I can find, but when they show him in bed, he's got his white rabbit next to him, or grey rabbit. He's often shown cuddling a rabbit. Anyway, horrible picture. I totally understand. I don't want to stay on that page for too long. And then I put the word white rabbit into the numerology calculator. And what do you think comes up? It is in Chaldean a 33, so it's their way of getting their numbers in, as they say. Yeah, I mentioned him earlier, actually. Anyone who wants to know a bit more about numerology, They Live Truth, I think, is definitely a channel you should check out. Have we got him up? There we go. Yeah, this guy, gotta say, one of the inspirations for me starting a YouTube channel. Basically, I reached out to him once following a heavily reported, a news article, basically, and suggested he look at something. He didn't, so I thought, do you know what, I'm going to make my own video, and I'll make my own channel and put a video out about it. I will put links to in the description for this gentleman's channel. He is one to go for. Yeah, he's also on Rumble, so I'll put a link on the Rumble description for him. Right, do you know what? I've lost my train of thought there. Yeah, we were talking about Stella Assange. That was it. I'll try and stick to one subject long enough to make a coherent point, let's hope. Where's it gone? Right. Oh, goodness me. We're getting there. Yeah, I do find my... Yeah, we're not going to be streaming too long. We are going to have a look in a second. Right, here we go. Julian Assange. Finally getting to the point of this live stream. This is the obvious outcome of many of these high profile fabricated news events. Urgent emergency appeal for donations to cover massive United States dollar 520,000 debt for jet. Julian's travel to freedom comes at a massive cost. Of course it does. There's no surprise there. Julian will owe 520 grand, which he is obligated to pay back to the Australian government for a charter flight VJ1999. Oh, sorry, one whatever. Or that's another number that's just got to go in the numerology calculator. I'm sorry. Just out of curiosity. I'm curious. Happens to be a 26 and a 24. I'm sure those numbers have come up once already tonight. He was not permitted to fly commercial airlines or routes to Saipan and onward to Australia. No, of course he wasn't. He had to take a private jet costing 520 grand. So, of course, they've now set up a GoFundMe fundraiser, and they're not far off their total. My opinion on fundraisers, like a lot of things, there are good fundraisers and there are ridiculous fundraisers. And the ones that seem to do best are the ridiculous ones, such as give this guy who will make an absolute fortune writing a book. You just wait for it. I do believe I'll get the time to say, told you so. Julian Assange released a book. I mean, it's probably already got one out, but where... Okay, every contribution counts. Yeah, these things kind of sicken me in that these celebrities can't even fund their own rubbish. You know, they've got to go to the public. Right, let's see the comments that he's got. Meanwhile, you know, people who are genuinely in need, their fundraisers probably don't get off the ground. I find that quite upsetting, of course. I find that annoying. Yeah, Rosie Chica says, isn't he Russian vids? You're absolutely right. His channel on YouTube is now They Live Truth, and he is over on... Let me find him. I'm sure I follow him on Rumble. We're not going to get too sidetracked. We are going back to... Oh, that's my live chat there. No, it isn't. Yeah, we are going to go back to looking at the fundraiser for Julian. Rejoice 1,000 times, sorrow behind. Sunny feature full of hope. Someone's writing poetry. We covered poetry, of course, on last Thursday's live stream. Please excuse me inventing words, 2 words in one, because actually I have very, very, very little money. You deserve so much more. It's great. Heaven knows. I don't know how much they've donated, but someone who has very little money is giving to Julian Assange. What a joke. As a kid, I thought heroes were Rambos and John McClanes. As a man, I know it's you. Thank you for everything you've done. So happy he's finally home with his family. Yeah, look, maybe we could look at his family at some point. Yeah, these Thursday streams, they're not longer ones. I'm going to be, not going... If you want to catch a longer stream, Sunday I'll be doing another one. But we will finish up looking at some more of these, very generous people. Although, what a great way to launder money, doing it in the form of a fundraiser. What a great way to avoid tax, claiming you've donated a load of money to a fundraiser, only to get it back. Right, I'm not going to talk about money laundering. That's a subject for another day. That's just one of my skeptical, pessimistic outlook on life. But then what do you expect when we have been fibbed to so heavily by organisations who are blindly given trust? People trust, establishments so easily. The US and British government are and will always be barbaric. Yeah, criminals. Before we go, we are going to look at what was Julian's crime. As far as I remember, unless I'm mixing him up with Edward Snowden, he called out the American government the American army for doing horrible things, which this person, Fei Chang, is touching on. Julian Assange, may God go with you. I wish you peace, love and harmony, my brother. Yeah, this guy is, as was mentioned, who said it? Well, yeah, he's being treated like a hero. Very much like Nelson Mandela. However, it was a level of popularity that poor Wolfie Smith from the Tooting Popular Front never managed to achieve, despite having the same hand gestures. Here we see, isn't that the brother of Labour, former Labour, leader? He was from Chippenham, actually, a place I know very well, but I don't know if that's him anyway. Oh, very unpopular. They hated the guy. Everyone hated him because he didn't, he sounded like he was a, yeah, whenever I do live streams, names seem to fail me, so you'll have to forgive my constantly forgetting names. Just one of those things. Yeah, this is Russian vids over on Rumble, which I'll put a link to in that live chat. Where are we? Okay, and yeah, I'll be adding these links to the description of this evening's video. I'm sure he's done a video about, we're not going to watch it, but I'm sure he's done one about Julian Assange a while back. Although I wasn't able to find it when I looked earlier, so whether it's come down again, I'm not sure. Perhaps he's got one here on YouTube, I'm not sure. But yeah, he pointed out a lot of interesting occultic stuff. Julian Assange's links to the occult, you could say. He did it in a... Yeah, it's on there. I certainly recommend... I believe it's on there anyway. I certainly recommend looking for it if you have the time. If I can find a link, I will put it in there. Or I don't know if Russian Vids ever watches my stuff. I think he left a comment on one of my videos once. If you can share a link to your video on Julian Assange in the comments, that would be wonderful, my friend. Right. What was Julian Assange charged with? I'm guessing they're not going to go into too much detail. Right, why can't they just give us a simple answer? I tell you what, we talked last week about Copilot and how wonderful it was. Let's see if they can give us a more straightforward answer. Charged with... Right, while we're waiting... a bail of act violation. After being arrested in 2019... he was charged and convicted for violating bail. Okay. Computer intrusion conspiracy. He was conspiracy to commit computer intrusion. Does that mean hacking? This charge was related to his involvement with Chelsea Manning and WikiLeaks. No idea who either of these people are. However, that's another one that's just itching to go in the numerology calculator. Don't know about Chelsea on its own. Chelsea is a 26. Add the surname. Manning is a 62 and a 49. Manning on its own is a 36 and a 24. Yeah, I tell you what, that number 24 comes up an awful lot. Right, espionage. A grand jury added 17 espionage charges against Assange, also relating to his collaboration with Chelsea Manning. Perhaps we need to have a look at who that is before we finish. Recruitment and hacking allegations. He tried to recruit hackers. Okay, and a plea deal and release. 170 years for basically cybercrime. That's heavy, man. So it must be Edward Snowden that I'm thinking of, who released all the information about... Maybe Copilot's given us a very preferred content version of... Right, I'm going to ask whether he was... Was Julian Assange in the military? Yeah, there were a few names that came out. He was not in the military. He gained prominence as the founder of WikiLeaks. Okay, that's what he did, you know. He released a website which, like YouTube, like TikTok, and probably quite a few other websites, the mainstream press gave it a massive publicity boost by reporting a negative story about it. If you remember back to probably the first time I heard of YouTube, one of the first times, was in 2006. The press did a big story about happy slapping, and it put YouTube on the map. Horrible people are going around slapping people, filming it, and uploading it to YouTube. All of a sudden, YouTube is a household name. TikTok. Now, we mentioned Archie Battersby earlier. Archie Battersby, he also helped put TikTok on the map by talking about a challenge that he was involved in. Again, I don't want to go too much into that story. But, yeah, there is no evidence on Archie's phone to suggest that he had taken part in a TikTok challenge. Apparently, I don't know why we're going on to this subject, totally unrelated, except they both had really blonde hair. Julian Assange and Archie Battersby both had very blonde hair. But that story it publicised TikTok very well. WikiLeaks, of course, got massive publicity because of Julian's involvement. What a coincidence. They went, the two of those are now massively mainstream entertainment platforms. These sites don't get they don't get publicity for nothing. Right, I'll have a look in the chat. Hopefully I haven't missed anyone. Apologies if I have. Jeff, I'm not sure if I've said hello to you yet this evening, but thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I think I have. If not, my apologies. It's great to have you with us. Rosie says, there's a book you can buy on Amazon, Edward Snowden and Julian Assange, the biography. Did they join forces? I'm going to have a look for that book. And while we're on Amazon, I'll tell you about another book you can buy. Right, what was that called? Edward Snowden, Julian Assange, Amazon. Since we're on Amazon, the biography. Did they release a joint biography? What are the odds? Oh, of course, autobiography means you've written, it's your own piece of work. The biography means someone else has written it about a person. They've detailed their life. If you're interested in learning about the NSA, one word off from NASA, and WikiLeaks, then this is the book for you. In this book, you'll learn about whistleblowers who have risked everything to bring us these crucial messages from our past. Messages that warn us against, etc., etc. Right, whilst we're on Amazon, if you ever want to do this, have a laugh. Put in the words, unreasonable request. And, by the way, I've got to give a shout out to someone in the live chat, Mudlark Digging Up the Thames, who was the one that suggested I bring out this ebook. I did a few blog posts detailing, that list of allegations made against Julian Assange. In this book, you get to see the list of allegations that my employer put against me. I'm not comparing myself to these people, by the way. In a very minor, vague way, I guess I am. But yeah, I got battered out of my job for not letting them probe me every week. I wouldn't let them. Actually, it went to 3 times a week or something ridiculous like that. They were expecting people to stick probes up their nose. My goodness, how harmful is that? I do actually feel sorry for those people that... I don't know how I've gotten to this subject. Right, as I say, jumping from one subject to another. I guess we'll try and bring it full circle. Yeah, check out that. 77p. There is a free sample. You get to read the first 20... No, sorry, you get to read the first couple of pages, I think, if you go into the free sample. That's enough shameless self-promotion. Yeah, there are links in the description if you're watching this over on Rumble. That's enough self-promotion. But yeah, thank you for letting us know, Rosie, that there is actually already there's a biography about him and Snowden. I believe we can expect, along with the fundraiser, I believe we'll also, £500,000 they've nearly raised for this guy, for being released from prison. How many people being released from prison do you think ever get fundraisers made about them? Hey ho. Right, who was he? Yeah, maybe it was Edward Snowden then. He released some horrible information about the US Army, I believe. I would have thought he uploaded it to WikiLeaks or WSA, whatever that is. I'm not sure. Okay, yeah, we're going to start bringing proceedings to a halt in a minute. Right, Chelsea Manning, that was the last name we were going to look at. Just so we can say we at least... Oh my goodness. I can't be the only one that sees this. Surely I'm not the only one that sees it. Whatever. I'll let you make your own... Look at that jaw. Come on. Look at the neck. Alright, whatever. We're not talking like that. Perhaps it's... Okay, whatever. Right. Who is Chelsea Manning? She is a former United States Army soldier who was convicted by court-martial. They let transgenders into the army now, do they? Ah, hang on. There was... Okay, fair enough. This was a... Yeah, I remember this one. Bradley Manning. Okay. When they went into prison, they had a separate name. I do remember this. My apologies. I thought they were trying to pass off a genuine, That's who Chelsea Manning is. Okay, excuse my ignorance. But yeah, seeing men dressed as women on your TV screens doesn't seem to be that rare. Susan Byrne, by the way, earlier on you mentioned Corbyn. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That is the name I was grasping for. Thank you. And thanks, Rosie, for the book suggestion. Yeah, Mudlark points out, absolutely correct. It was a dude. And Susan says, was he ever in prison? Behind the facade, he will be having the high life. Wouldn't be at all surprised. It's... Who knows what these people are. When the people need a hero, the same by, I think it was a Freemason. Again, I probably heard this on Russian Vids, one of his videos. When the people need a hero, we'll provide them. Sort of kind of letting us know that heroes, villains are the ones that we get presented to us in the media are probably about as lifelike as they mentioned, someone in the comments mentioned Rambo and movie stars. It would seem that, yeah, unfortunately it might be a bitter pill to swallow, but the mainstream press is little more than an extension of the movies. Yeah, okay, we are getting to the point where I humbly request that anyone who's enjoyed what they've watched on this live stream, if you want to hit the thumbs up button before you go. I was also talking earlier about, what can I expect of anyone that clicks on this video other than watching it. Hitting the thumbs up button is one more thing. Not that I expect, but when anyone does it, it's a massive compliment to me. Other people that have complimented me by finding my work in other places, and there's names up on the screen now, so I thank them wholeheartedly, just as much as I also thank the people that took the time to comment in the live chat this evening. Right, I do generally like to list everyone if I can. So we've had Susan, Rosie, Mudlark, Jeff, Roger, Alita, and Cider Guy. I hope you're all still with us. And if I've missed anyone, I mentioned Roger Ledwell. Thanks, guys, for tuning in this evening. Yeah, we're going to start wrapping up now. This is the time of the show where I remind you I am back Sunday evening. We will be continuing our look at the deposition of Godfather of Vaccines, Stanley Plotkin. We'll be on to the 4th hour. So I hope you can tune in. It'll be starting about 10 p.m. British summertime. So I hope you're around for that. If not, I hope you can watch us watch it on catch up, as it were. Okay, thank you for taking the time to tune in this evening. Let me move the chat so you can see me a little bit better. By the way, now I've got the live chat up. Sorry, not the live chat. My camera up. I've often commented about people having unusual ears. I can finally prove, are my ears unusual? Because I mean, a lot of people might say you're very disrespectful of some people's features, like pointing out they've got square ears or their earlobes like 4 foot long. Yeah, show us your own ears before making fun of other people. There you go. That is my ear. Hope it isn't too weird, although ears are quite strange when you look at them, but they are something that when artists try and draw, ears and hands are definitely the hardest thing for them to get right. I could go into Julian Assange's ears. I won't know. No, I will, just as the last thing we're going to do tonight. Okay, they didn't look that weird, actually. I saw him in one shot and it looked like his ears were made of cardboard. Okay, my advice, if you want to support Snowden or Assange, whatever his name is now, go for it. But I do think there's probably more meaningful fundraisers taking place at the moment. Okay, the weekend's drawing there. I hope everyone has a great weekend. My advice to you all, observe the Sabbath day. Never a mistake, in my opinion. Oh, right, I'm going to start our background music going. Where is it? That means I've got Okay, I do start rambling, so I'm going to end this quickly. Have a wonderful weekend. Oh, I want to... okay, Rosie says the Fibonacci sequence is found in the structure and design of the human hair. Do you know, Rosie, that might be something we have to look up on another stream, Fibonacci sequence. I am curious. Mudlark also tells us Charles and Rishi Sunak both have massive ears. Yeah, no coincidence. Well, for me, I believe a lot of the people we see presented to us on the news are often wearing prosthetics on their face. Like, I'm not necessarily saying King Charles doesn't exist, but they use a lot of body doubles. One way to make them look a bit more convincing is, give them very standout features, features that people will identify easily. That way, if the ear, if they're not right, okay, that's one for another subject. We're too late on this stream now for me to start going into any of my other observations that I've made whilst looking at some of the people in the mainstream.
Have you ever used orphans to study an experimental
intro music beginning? All I can say is thank you ever so much for tuning in. If you want to leave a comment in the that's great. Thanks to everyone who has been with us this evening. Take care. Be back Sunday, God willing. Hope you can make it there too. Over and out. Good night.